Hello and welcome back to my spooky Halloween garden. I had a lot of fun designing this and putting all these little pieces together here, but today what I'm going to be discussing is planting food scraps, specifically these sweet onions here. As you can see, they've already sprouted. What I did was I just took like a glass bowl and I have 3 onions. I got these from Whole Foods and these are organic sweet onions. And what I did was I cut off the part of the onion that had the roots here. It's very important that you cut off the part that has the roots because this is the part that we are going to plant into our garden. And what I did was I bought 3 whole onions and I cut off the part that had the roots, and then I set them in just a little bowl of water, and I made sure the water didn't cover the onions completely, but just basically made sure the roots were somewhat submerged in the water. And what this will do is it'll give it the nutrients and the hydration it needs, and then you'll start to get these little sprouts here. I left these in the water for about 5 days. You don't have to do that. You can leave it in the water for like 1 or 2 days, but I wanted to make sure that they sprout because I did plant another onion food scrap in my raised bed here, and it did sprout, but it didn't last very long. So these, I wanted to make sure all 3 of them sprouted before I took the time to plant them in my little Halloween garden here. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to plant this in my no-dig bed here that I made. And I have a video of how I made this no-dig bed. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this roots down, of course, into the soil, and I'm going to cover it up to the base of where the sprouts are, because this, you want it to continue to sprout up and to to get the nutrients from the sun and things like that. So I'm just going to plant it to here, and I've already amended the soil using this Neem Bliss premium seed meal here, and I'll link in the description the Amazon link where I purchased this, and by purchasing this using my link, it'll actually help financially support the channel, so that way I can make you guys some more videos. But I've already used this, and I've used this in my other beds as well, and it's working really good. I've the seeds that I sowed for autumn, they've actually already started to sprout. The only issue I'm having right now are squirrels. As you can see, I'll bring the camera in later, but the squirrels, they have really dug into my bed here. But I left this front area specifically for planting food scraps such as onions, and I'll probably put some shallots out here and a few other things. Now when I plant these, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a harvest from these this season. I mean, I can cross my fingers and hope, but I believe I will probably get a harvest from these probably in the spring. But I mean, you never know what'll happen. I live in Georgia, so my growing zone is 7B to 8A, so we have mild winters here, so I shouldn't have any issues with growing food scraps or sowing more seeds. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I'm gonna plant these. And then in another video, maybe about a month or so from now, I'll show you how I'll give you an update and show you how they're doing. But I'm very confident that I'm gonna get a harvest out of these, especially with using the Neem meal. Okay, so let's get planting. Here you can see some of the squirrel damage that I have going on here. I have a pecan tree. I have a pecan tree, and I also have a white oak tree, And there are nuts that have been falling, and I believe they've been digging for the nuts. This, I did not do this at all. This is all squirrel damage here that's been happening, but I am going to use this to plant one of my little onions here. So I guess the squirrel kind of did me a little favor. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and set it with the roots going downward, and then I'm just going to take some of the soil here and just cover it up like this. Your onions, you don't have to plant your onion scraps too deep. I would say just like maybe about half an inch of soil to an inch of soil over it. But as you can see, that's perfect, and it's very easy, very simple. As long as you have really good soil, soil that's well draining, you know, you can pretty much plant just about anything out here. So the next one I'm gonna actually put here in this area here. I have plans to do some more food scrap planting. So this area here, I just have to figure out what food scraps I want to plant, but I'm gonna just save this half here. I'll probably put two other maybe different types of onions. That'll be nice, just make this whole part here just onions. But I'm gonna take my little shovel and dig just a simple little hole, and then I'm gonna take this one here, and as you can see, I have my roots there, and just lightly put it in. You don't have to be, you know, too harsh or anything with this, and just gently put the soil around. And then you could take some of the pine straw here and just kind of layer it over a little bit, and hopefully I have a plan for how I'm going to deal with the squirrels. I think I'm going to build some cages. I don't want to buy any cages because cages, they can be very expensive. So I'm going to find an inexpensive way to build some cages using chicken wire to put over this, and that should help. I would use a regular like landscaping cloth, but the squirrels, they can chew through that. So I think I'm going to use chicken wire. That way it won't be so easy for the squirrels to chew through it. You know, I know it's probably a little bit more expensive, but you don't want to waste your money on something that doesn't work, and then you end up having to spend more money to buy something that will work, you know. So I'm going to plant the next one. I think I'm going to put here, actually, in this little corner. Well, maybe not, because I have my RIP, rest in peace sign that I put here. So I may just put the next one maybe right here in the front. And since they've already sprouted, I can see where I'm planting them. So I'm going to take this next one here, and then I'm going to just gently set that in there and put the soil around it. And hopefully this doesn't attract any other little mammals out here to eat them. So I'm just going to cover them up. Okay. And then I've already wet the soil, so the soil has already been wet because I watered everything this morning. So I'm just going to use the water from here for that. Now, some tips for planting the onions here. I suggest that you, when you're putting them in the water to sit for a few days, don't keep it in your house. The last thing you need is like old wet onions sitting on your kitchen counter and smelling up the whole house. So you definitely want to set this outside on your front porch, or you know, somewhere or on a windowsill, you know, with the window open, something, because I set these in some water and I set them on the counter, and literally like within a few hours of me putting these in the water, it really started to smell. And I have cats, so then my cats were all over because they were like, what is this, you know? So I just set them on my front porch, you know, in a nice sunny spot, you know, and waited for them to sprout. But I wouldn't use tap water, because your tap water, it has chlorine in it, unless you're using filtered tap water. I actually use a little bit of rainwater from my rain barrel to soak them in, so that way they get, you know, some more nutrients, you know. And I think rain barrel water is a little bit better for your plants anyway, as long as, you know, your roof, you know, isn't toxic, doesn't have any toxic materials or anything like that. But overall, it's pretty simple to plant these. You see here, so I have 3 here, and then, you know, later I'll plant some more things here. But back here I have snowball cauliflower in the back here, and they've sprouted, but those squirrels, so the only issue I think I'm going to have with these are the squirrels. So, and that's something that I can fix, but other than that, it's pretty simple and something you can do on your own. All right, well, thank you again for joining me in my spooky Halloween garden as I show you how I plant my food scraps, so that way, you know, you can buy it one time and then, you know, keep replanting your food scraps, and you barely have to repurchase these in a grocery store. But thank you for joining me. If you liked the video, make sure you leave me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. You know where those buttons are. And check out my Amazon page. I'm also a writer, so by reading my book, it'll further support the channel. And thank you again for joining me. I'll see you guys later. Bye.